I'm Dan St.Yves, and for today, I'm talking with Tom Phillips. Thanks so much for taking some time out with me today, Tom.
My pleasure.
I was going to start by referring to you as the Canadian Hank Williams. Maybe I should still go with that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I did a Hank Williams play called Hank Williams: The Show He Never Gave, so I get a certain amount of Hank Williams stuff from that, I think.
Is there a better hurtin' hard luck legend that would be more appropriate? Merle Haggard, maybe?
Well, yeah, they kind of like hold both thrones for me.
Now, all kidding aside here, every reference to you online establishes you firmly as an authentic, roots, honky-tonk, classic country artist. But I've also read online that this can probably come from a place of authenticity. I read that you grew up on a ranch, you appeared in that Hank Williams show, so it doesn't get much more real than that.
Well, it's kind of, I'll qualify that. I actually, I was born and raised in Calgary. We had a ranch in Bragg Creek, or back when Bragg Creek wasn't really Bragg Creek. People tell me now, they say, hey, it's if you're coming to Bragg Creek, it's on such and such a street. And I'm like, they have streets out there? But anyway, we were in West Bragg Creek, and so we spent quite a bit of time out there. But I did my education and stuff in Calgary.
Excellent.
But I've always loved horses and that kind of thing, so I always had one growing up.
So how much of that seeps into your recording?
I don't know, like I vacillate, when I people say that I do honky tonk, I do a lot of honky tonk. I write a lot of that kind of stuff because I have a band called the Men of Constant Sorrow. We got pedal steel and like a full honky tonk kind of outfit. But I also kind of write. I do a lot of finger picking as well, and I don't always think of my music as country music. I guess it is, but I have a hard time drawing boundaries, around it. Sometimes I think it's more. To describe myself to somebody who doesn't really know what I do at all, I tend to describe myself as roots, maybe more than straight up country.
Let's go to the Ironwood. That's where I first saw you live.
Sure.
Is there any one place that has been more formative in your career?
Oh man, there's been a ton of them in Calgary. I've been really extremely lucky, and I still feel blessed all the time by the amount of places in Calgary over the years that have continued to let me play. The Ironwood would be just a giant one from the time it started. Before that, Karma. Before that, the Kensington Deli Cafe. And I could go way back, and the folk clubs in town. And Mikey's Juke Joint, where I play every Sunday. A place called Winos right now, where I play every Friday. A place called Schooners, where I play every Saturday. The Ironwood and the Blues Can's been really good to me. And the folk festival's been really good to me, so I just feel really lucky. They've all been, as a place has closed down, another place has opened up, and somehow or other, I'm not really looking for it. I've just got bookings, and fairly steady bookings at these places, which has allowed me to, rather than tour extensively, be able to stay here in Calgary and kind of do my work from here, which has been great for me.
I mentioned before we started the interview that I was from Winnipeg originally, and one of the things I noticed is all the great places for live music have either shut down or turned into karaoke bars and stuff like that. But Calgary's got so many opportunities.
Calgary's amazing, and I think it is one of the few places in Canada now. I don't know that for sure, but it just seems to me, that like if I have, let's say, 6 places in Calgary for sure that I play on a very regular basis, and lots of other bands and solo performers do as well, and get paid for it. A lot of places, a lot of cities, it's almost pay to play now, just because so many bands want a gig,
Yeah.
But Calgary really has that, and I think it may be because it's kind of young. Maybe it's possibly a bit of a younger scene, like those clubs and because Calgary wasn't known for having the biggest live scene, like places like Toronto or Vancouver. But Vancouver, I don't know, there's not very many places to play there anymore.
Yeah.
You'd think there would be, but there isn't. And Calgary, so that scene is just, I think it's still growing, is what I guess I'm trying to get at, which is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. To develop, I see right now, there's an explosion of roots and folk style music.
Sure.
So.
And it's really amazing. I've been lucky as well to there's such a great expanse or breadth of musicians in Calgary, And it's really great because it always used to be that everybody would leave. I always felt like I even left when I was younger. I went to Toronto for 7 years.
Yeah.
Came back and I've been here ever since. But everyone would leave Calgary, and then at a certain point, I'm not sure where it was, some people started coming here because you could get paid to play, and other people started staying here. And I think that as well has grown the whole scene. There's all these great musicians here who are actually based here and live here, and there's bands cross-identify and play with each other and all kinds of things. You meet all kinds of great songwriters, and I think that's a thing too. Calgary, when I was in Toronto, for example, there was a little coffee house called Fat Albert's Coffee House, and it was like an open stage. You'd sign up and play, but there were all these fabulous songwriters there, and so you'd hear one and go home and go, I got to write a better song than that for next week, kind of like that. And that I didn't really see that in Calgary at that time. This is a long time ago, 79, something like that. Now I see it all over the place, right? So people have a chance to get on a stage for the first time, learn something, and maybe go on from there. And I just think it's a beautiful thing.
Interesting to bring it back to the Calgary perspective. Mm-hmm. You've had some pretty cool things happen, and one of the things was best-selling Canadian author Will Ferguson.
Yeah,
heard you playing and turned to you for a soundtrack for his book.
Yeah,
Spanish
which was
Fly.
kind of funny. Like, who writes a song, or who even thinks of a songtrack for a book? But Will did. That's right. I was playing with my band down at Ironwood, and he was, I think, just finishing his novel, which was called Spanish Fly. And he was with the publisher's rep, and they were sitting there having a beer, and Will said, this is what he tells me, he said, if I were to, have a soundtrack to my book, it'd be these guys. And then he and the publisher said, hey, well, maybe that's not a bad idea. They must have been drunk at the time. And so we did that. So basically, Will gave me the book, and I just wrote songs kind of, not... And a couple of them are specific to the book, but not really. It's a standalone album, but it's just of that period, 30s kind of grifters thing. And that was a great experience for me, fantastic. And that got that, record all over North America, really, just because of Will's fame as well. So it was neat. And a great guy.
I was listening to your Luck Gone Bad CD the other day, just when I was starting to do up all the questions. And is that where your Man of Constant Sorrow comes for your band, or did they get started before that?
The Men of Constant Sorrow, there was a bar down in downtown Calgary called King Henry VIII's, which was across from the Bay, kind of a dive bar in the center of downtown Calgary. It was great, but it was, dark and not a lot of windows and stuff. And actually the guy who owns the Ironwood now, Pat McIntyre, was a bartender there. And he hired me to start doing a little music in there on Saturdays because, they were busy in the week. Obviously, downtown Calgary, not busy. So I started jamming down there in about 1997, I think. And guys would come down and just sit in. And that's how the Man of Constant Sorrow occurred. Just these guys that would come down every Saturday. And then we were drinking one day, and my bass player at the time said, we're men of constant sorrow. And so it just stuck from there.
And there's some of these guys have made a name for themselves locally.
Totally.
With yourself. And
absolutely, yeah. I've had a lot of great guys through the band. And, the core of the band has always been the same for how many years it's been now? 19 years or something. Yeah.
I'm doing this specifically for the Calgary Folk Club, and a lot of them are musicians themselves and stuff.
Yeah.
Any kind of technical stuff about your playing, or do you have a great guitar story? Have you lost a piece of gear?
I'm not that big of a technical guy, but I guess the way we're going to play the Calgary Folk Club is in a trio format. So I've got Kit Johnson playing bass and harmony vocals, and Kit, while he played with David Wilcox. There's an example of a guy who came to Calgary from Toronto because, the music scene, I think, to some degree was, it was hard to make a living there, and has added so much to the Calgary scene. So he's playing bass, and I made a record with him called High Flyer that he and I just did on our own, so I'm looking forward to playing with him. And then my longtime guitar player, Dwight Thompson, who I've played with for about, like, even before the band, for about 22 or 23 years, will be playing acoustic guitar. And he was in a band, for anybody who's been around Calgary this long, called Foster Child, a long time ago. And he was in Larry and Curly, which was with Carl Roth. He's played with everybody.
Oh.
And great bass player and a great guitar player. In this case, he plays acoustic guitar with me, and it's a real treat. So that trio for me is fantastic. I just love playing with him. So that's how we'll be going about it. And I'll be playing acoustic guitar and singing, and we'll be doing, I guess, probably 99.9% of my songs. And well, there might be a cover thrown in, maybe a Hank Williams. You never know. And I finger pick as well. I play a Gibson J200 and I play a Martin D35, both that I've had for a long time. So I'm just really excited because the way I learned to play guitar, which actually relates a bit to the Calgary Folk Club, is there was a guy, and I think it was the Calgary Folk Club, named Mansell Davies, who I think started it, or at least was one of the, was in the house band for many years. And when I was a young man, when I was 12, my father passed away, and I got his guitar, and he taught me a couple chords, but somehow I got my hands on a book that Mansell Davies had written, like a guitar technique book for the Calgary School Board.
Oh.
And that is how I actually learned how to finger pick, and how, I taught myself from that book of Mansell Davies. So that's interesting. I don't know if he's still up there or anything, but it'd be great to see him if he is. So, yeah,
I'll have to do some more.
Yeah, pretty neat. And I was telling you earlier that I think I've played the Calgary Folk Club, but not for many years, many years. So I'm really, really looking forward to it.
What have you got on the go right now? A new album coming out anytime soon?
Do have a new album coming out. Probably, it'll either be December or January. This is a bit of a different record. It's none of the songs on this new record are my own songs. They were put together by a record company, which then went defunct. My friend Laurie Matheson, who owns a label called Western Famine, decided to put it out. He picked all the songs, and my friend Tim Leacock, who's also a musician in town, myself, and Laurie Matheson played all the instruments, did all the vocals, and produced the whole thing ourselves. So it's going to be a surprise and a lot of fun. It was great to make. And I'm in the process of writing a lot of songs right now for a new record with the Man of Constant Sorrow. And I'm just having fun. I'm once again, I'm so lucky to be able to make my living playing at these clubs in town, and it allows me to do all this stuff, so it's great.
I thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy.
Oh, yeah, it's great to have you over and great to talk to you. And thanks, another thing I'd like to say just quickly is what a big thanks, Calgary Press and everything, for following local music and live music. And it's so helpful to everybody. It really is, and it's great to meet you.
No, I'm looking forward to the show. I look forward to one more time seeing you perform in concert.
Well, it'll be fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.